Television One proudly presents Open Home, brought to you by AMI Assist, a free service with AMI House or Contents Insurance.
Good evening.
Hello.
Welcome to our last program for the year, an hour-long special celebrating a slice of our unique housing diversity.
One of the great things about living in New Zealand is that we're not strapped by rigid architectural traditions. We don't have the uniformity of house styles found in other older places, rows of identical bricks, semi-detached or terraces. We use our houses to express our individuality.
As a nation, we've picked the eyes out of architecture from around the world and then stamped our own mark on it. But it wasn't the architects who came up with that most distinctive of New Zealand's house styles, the villa.
Take a colonial cottage complete with veranda. Push one room outwards under a gabled roof. Throw in a big bay window, and what you have is the Bay Villa. Thousands were built over a 20-year period starting in the mid-1890s. But this turn-of-the-century building boom was much more than a passing architectural fancy. It represented a major turning point in the social order of Victorian society. The villa heralded a new age of prosperity. Indeed, it was the very indication that the owner was part of a brand new, upwardly mobile middle class. But they hadn't come about simply by accident. They represented the fruits of New Zealand's first big marketing push by the timber companies and builders. They had the timber, they had the new steam-driven mills and jigs, and they had the design ideas. All they needed was a vehicle to market them to an eager public with the means to pay. The Bay Villa was perfect.
They were a builder's speculative style largely, although there were architecturally designed villas, but they were largely a builder's speculative style. And all of the elements, all of the decorative elements, the windows, the ceiling, battens, the fireplaces, were all chosen from catalogues and put together by either the builder or the builder in combination with the owner of the villa. In one particular area in Auckland that we know a little bit about, one builder built a whole 3 streets of houses, and there were only 6 major house designs, but you could decide whether you wanted your bedroom in the bay or your sitting room in the bay window and flip the design around a bit.
The degree of ornamentation was held to reflect the taste and achievement of the owner. Simplicity represented poverty, complexity, wealth. All told, there were around 6,000 permutations to choose from. Villas had become New Zealand's first mass-produced house. The serried ranks lined up primly in our city's brand new suburbs represented a new mobility. For the first time, a homeowner could choose where he wanted to live, not necessarily near his workplace, and catch the new electric tram to work.
And the suburbs were seen along the developing tram lines as a much healthier alternative to living in the inner city with fresh air and ventilation, and the Victorians and Edwardians were really obsessed with cleanliness and health and fresh air and ventilation.
So was that the appeal, the fact that they're drafty?
Well, I don't think they were probably a lot less drafty than what they'd been used to before.
So the middle-class people to whom these appealed saw them as setting them apart from the rest of at least the lower classes.
Well, certainly from the working class. I mean, they were saying that they definitely had risen above being working class people, and that they were concerned with their good taste and their displays of affluence, and also with the health and care of their children, which was a relatively new thing in the mid-19th century.
For Victorians, housekeeping had become a science, and every wife and mother was expected to be knowledgeable about it. She had to shop, cook, and keep the house clean and warm. She also ran the domestic budget and usually chose the furnishings. Villas put on a grand show at the front. Here was the formal lounge, the good room, where guests were entertained. Across the hall was the well-furnished master bedroom, named for the man of the house, apparently. This upmarket version was once a Whangarei homestead. Today it's part of the Whangarei Museum and open to visitors. It might be grander than its city cousins, but with its centre corridor, it's still very much a villa.
So villas were broken up, into 2 main parts. There was the private family area here at the back and the public area in the front.
Yes, that's right, and really that divides, indicated by this archway, which would divide the private family part of the house from the public part of the house. And this would probably have been draped with a curtain as well, just to emphasise that point.
So you couldn't even see down here from up here?
Well, not very well. It would probably be sort of partly obscured to one side. The front rooms, particularly the drawing room, would be where the best that you could afford would be, in terms of explaining that, you know, this is how tasteful this family was, and that this is where public rooms were and where people were entertained.
By 1918, villas had gone out of style. They stayed that way for 50 years. Many eventually made up unloved slums. Until the 1970s, a new generation found romance in their form and decoration, a romance that had evaded their parents. Undaunted by peeling paint, the restoration trend began. This Dunedin villa won a National Rosine Architectural Colour Award. The extraordinary riot of colour works surprisingly well in the traditional Victorian interior. But preserving the look of our architectural heritage while accommodating modern amenities creates something of a dilemma.
These areas aren't going to repeat themselves. The character of the architecture was a oncer. It occurred at a particular broad period in time. There's been very strong local body feeling that we need to do something to preserve this sort of key moment in the history of our urban environment. There's been strong representations from professional design bodies such as architects and designers, and an increasing groundswell of expectation from the public, particularly people who buy into an area like this because of its environmental qualities and don't want to wake up the next morning and find two townhouses just over their fence.
What's appropriate and what's not will always be in the eye of the beholder. But in some areas of Auckland City, the planners have taken a lead. Inappropriately designed additions visible from the road will no longer be permitted. More creative solutions have to be found in order to modernise and acquire extra space. This villa has had a room added in the roof space, and it's designed with sympathy and care. Inside, the stairway's been cleverly placed so that the feel of the old hall is retained. Halfway up the stairs, a new bathroom. The new room provides enough space for guests and a light, airy games area. Even the space beneath the low parts of the roof has been utilised. Storage and play.
The villa proportions, as they relate to upstairs, are almost non-existent. There's no historical precedence. And so in adding upstairs, it's a matter of using the elements, the proportions of elements, the scale, the way in which the windows work, and then replicating that in a way that adds to the quality of space that we're putting in.
In this Peterising alteration, there was plenty of space at the rear to create a new kitchen living room. And the new area perfectly blends with the old.
We just needed the room. It was very hard to do anything in the kitchen without the children under your feet, and they needed an area to play, and we just felt that we could use the indoor-outdoor living a bit better.
What did you ask the architect for?
We asked them for a nice modern kitchen, a room enough to be able to have a couple of sofas and a table, just a nice-sized family room.
It wasn't until halfway through the building process that the Speakmans realised just how much space there is in the roof. Now it's a spare bedroom. Architect Peterising follows a conservative approach to renovation. Others have been a little more unconventional. Architect Richard Priest's radical renovation wouldn't suit traditionalists, but what a transformation to this rundown property.
The brief I gave to Richard was I wanted something light and airy that took full potential of the view, which is really amazing, something very spacious, not boxed in, and very open plan living.
Now, you'd have to say, as villas go, it's fairly radical.
Yes, it is.
Did you specifically ask for something radical?
Not at all. I just wanted something to keep up with the times, modern, very low maintenance, and something that's ideal for entertaining.
Upstairs, the open plan even extends to the loo. Imagine what the Victorians would have made of this bedroom. It's hard to believe that there's any of the original house left, but the exterior walls at the side still remain, and the floor.
Quite a bit of the floor is still the old floor. We love the Cowrie floors, and we just oil those to keep them up to scratch. And I love the wide hallway, so we've retained the wide hallway. And also demolished a brick fireplace, and we've used the bricks downstairs in the courtyard, so we've retained it as far as we could.
The New Zealand villa, born 1890, still going strong.
You can certainly see where the native forests went. After the break, the other extreme, modern glamour in Christchurch.
6:30 Saturday.
Everybody smile? I am smiling.
The most joyous of occasions.
And to sign him with the sign of the cross.
Part 1 of a 2-part Only Fools and Horses special. Del Boy and Rodney are back.
Perhaps I'll be seeing you two again in the near future. What future? I work for Del.
Del's been reading the good book.
The Book of Prophets.
Now he's spreading the good word.
I'm coming to Miami with ya. Oh, you bloody ain't.
Only Fools and Horses, 6:30 Saturday on Television 1.
At Telecom, we've reduced our rates to the world this weekend so you can spread some joy and save in time for Christmas. Direct dial anyone, anywhere in Australia, anytime this weekend and pay just 49 cents a minute. Or anyone, anywhere else in the world for just 99 cents a minute. And you'll save even more on the Friends and Family International plan. Calling the world doesn't get much cheaper or easier than that.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me chef's special Christmas turkey. On the second day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 2 Christmas hams and a chef's special Christmas turkey.
G'day. If you need tyres, batteries, wheels, or alignments, it really pays to have mates in the tyre business. These are my mates.
G'day.
And these are their rates.
I've got new Aquajet radials fitted from $75 each.
How about new steel track radials from $91 on the car?
And tyres, wheels, or alignments on no deposit and 6 months interest-free right up to Christmas Eve.
Good mates, great rates. Compliments of the season from Bow Repairs.
To Mummy. Now one for Grandma. Now one for James. And the last one for Daddy.
Lightly roasted almonds lovingly smothered in Nestlé milk chocolate. Nestlé scorched almonds, the perfect little gift.
To Mummy and Daddy.
Here's a gift that will last a lifetime. Precision made in Switzerland. Victorinox, the original Swiss Army knife. Look for the name on the blade. Available at all leading sports and gift stores from as little as $20.
Oh, I feel good.
Here's great gift ideas that stretch to be sensational. Stretchmaster's economical seat covers are just $24.95 a pair. Save $5. For lasting protection, Stretchmaster's Super Stripe 2, just $34.95 a pair. Or treat your car to the long-lasting luxury of Stretchmaster's Auto Pelts, now only $59.95 a pair. Super deals, super gifts from Stretchmaster.
And Decker, where saving feels good.
This man knows something that the people around him don't. He got the very latest weather information from Netphone. For weather information that could save your day, phone 0900 999 and then your STD code.
Spend over $300 at one of Levine's big stores this weekend and we'll offer you 12 months interest-free credit. and that'll help balance the budget.
I gotta tell ya, no one puts it together better.
Well, there's nothing typical about this next house. Built for one of New Zealand's great retailing families, the brief was for something completely different, something that would stand out from the conservative English tradition of Christchurch. It was the first house built there in the modern style of continental architecture.
Coldstream is as modern today as when it was conceived 60 years ago. There have been changes, but it was that original simplicity of design that attracted its present owner.
I came out and had a look at the house, walked through it, and knew the moment I saw it that it was what we wanted.
What was it about the place that grabbed you?
It's spacious grounds, it's beautiful gardens, the very large rooms, and the way the house flowed. It had an organization to it that you never felt crowded or pressed. It was always open and inviting and was instantly appealing to me.
For the wealthy Christchurch retailer Kenneth Ballantyne in 1933, it was a one-off for renowned architects Heathcote Helmore and Guy Cotterill. The Ballantynes wanted something different, something that would stand out in 1930s society. Equipped with the latest mod cons, the home did just that.
Mr. Ballantyne said that when he actually went to the architect and said to him, I want a home, he said, I want something that there is nothing like in Christchurch. And of course that's what he got. He got this one. This is not really your standard Heathcote Helmore home. It's quite different.
Our thought was to see if we could do something toward restoring it to the original Heathcote Helmore ideas, and over a 2.5-year period we were able to largely do that with a lot of more modern touches.
Over the years, Coldstream's adapted to the time. In the 60s, it took on the look of the era. Dark timbers, patterned carpets, shimmering wallpapers.
We decided we got hold of Mr. Ballantyne. He came through the house, had a look, and he was really the main drawer because he went through things with us and said, oh, you know, in 1935 I had things like this, and I had the horses outside, and I did this with this room, and I thought, that's what this house is all about. That's what we should be doing.
And so a major reconstruction began. The house was completely gutted. It was increased in size from 8 to 12,000 square feet. It would take 2.5 years to modernise Coldstream, but it still retains its original concept, modernist with touches of Art Deco.
One of the most important features of increasing the size of this house was that nothing looked like an add-on, that it had to look like part of the original design and flow with the rest of the house. The house had a beautiful flow when it was done by Heathcote Helmore. Now I've had architects and other people look at it, and everybody says it looks like the entire complex was designed at the first time when it was built and not a later add-on. And we're really proud of that and think it turned out very well.
I don't know, I must have ended up with about 8 to 10 designs of kitchens, and there was just nothing kind of gelled. It didn't sort of end up the way I wanted it. So I said to the architect one day, I said, sit down with me with a piece of paper and let's go through it. And I told him what I wanted and told him where I thought it would go, and then he fitted it all round. So it worked out really well.
Despite the modernisation, Coldstream still has a feeling of the 30s. The alterations have done justice to the influence of architects Helmore and Cotterill. Gone are the garish colours of the 60s, today the house has returned to its original stark white and marble, emphasising its spaciousness. While respecting the past, Earl Hagerman had his own ideas of what he wanted in his home.
The ceiling wasn't like this, the lighting wasn't like this, it was entirely different, and the room has been done from the floor right to the ceiling in a new vein. We had new joinery made here, and put in the mirror and the glass doors, and we like it very much.
The Hagemans also installed a Hollywood-looking swimming pool, grand piano in shape, grand in style. It's not hard to imagine any of the movie legends of the 30s lounging around this pool. Well, I guess this didn't look as it does today when you arrived.
Heathcote Helmore originally built the fireplace in a black patterned marble. Sir Robertson Stewart had converted it to a brick fireplace, more or less a used brick. We couldn't obtain the same type of marble any longer that Heathcote had used, so we went to the Carrara. But the mirrors and the formation of the fireplace are essentially the way it was when it was originally built.
The room was built for Mrs. Ballantyne, who loved performing and entertaining. Today, the stage at the end awaits a grand piano of its own. Upstairs, Coldstream becomes a family home with rooms like any other house, except perhaps Filani's bathroom, which too wouldn't be out of place in Hollywood. But as far as the Hagemans are concerned, despite its grandeur, Coldstream is simply a home.
The whole atmosphere in the house, we didn't really want anything stuffy or anything else. You can't, with little children running around. We've got 3 cats, 2 dogs, and children. It's got to be a family home. And it is, it's really versatile. I mean, it's nice for entertaining, but it's also very much a home where anybody can wander through and feel quite comfortable.
And Earl, you're contented here?
I don't ever plan to sell it. I think I'll live here the rest of my life. Very contented.
From the opulence of Coldstream to mass housing, the social phenomenon of the State House is next.
Saturday, still in Israel, still keeping secrets.
God alone knows where Frank is.
And Tessa's not the only one looking for him.
Frank Gardner, come with us, please.
Don't make us angry.
Meanwhile, a diversion.
I'll miss you.
Me too.
You mean that?
And a confrontation.
What about lies and cheating and double dealing?
Oh, God almighty, we're multi-millionaires and you're bitching about it.
Keep it.
Love Hurts, Saturday, 8:35 on Television 1.
The pace of life seems to pick up a little each day. As it does, convenience and home comfort become more important to us. At the same time, we don't want our way of life to cost the earth or to waste precious resources. Efficiency is the key, which is why ECNZ is constantly providing ways for New Zealand homes to get more from their electricity. It's something we're putting all our energy into.
What's that you got there, Stanley? Moneymaker. I like the sound of that.
It's our new ASB bank savings account. Pays much higher interest, look.
So that's why it's called Moneymaker. Clever, isn't it, Stanley?
Fairer, too. Your money's on call whenever you want it, and it pays the same high interest whatever your balance.
Oops. Stanley's just lost his.
ASB Bank.
Come here, Stan.
Your future bank.
Magic touch. On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me chef's special Christmas turkey. On the second day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 2 Christmas hams and a chef's special Christmas turkey.
If you're searching for that truly memorable gift this Christmas, Gem Time Jewelers can help you select a gift that'll be treasured forever. A gift they'll remember 24 hours a day. Like these Seiko gold bracelet watches for $295 each. This superb Olympic quartz is now only $99. And this Casio 300-meter sports watch is also great value at just $99. Gem Time Jewelers for truly memorable Christmas gifts with a personal payment plan to suit.
Hey, these prices will slay you.
Poinsettia's beautiful Christmas plants were $13.95, now only $8.95. Patio roses and terracotta pots, only $14.95.
Oscillating sprinklers, great for watering the garden, worth $29.95. Under half price at $14.95.
Summer tubs, loads of colour, only $11.95. And garden gift vouchers, the ideal gift, available for any amount.
Gifts that'll slay you from Athol McCulley's Garden Centres, where all plants carry my personal guarantee.
During the Depression of the 30s, thousands of New Zealanders were homeless. Others lived in cramped, substandard conditions.
In 1935, the Labour government recognised the crisis and estimated that 6,000 new houses were needed annually. That recognition gave birth to the State House and gave thousands of New Zealanders somewhere to live, but more, a chance to do better. A building program on a scale never seen before or since burst into life. It created a piece of architectural history, a New Zealand icon.
Every week sees more sections plotted and surveyed. To date, 2,000 homes have been built, and as the pegs go down on one more site, the tiles go up on one more roof. Earth moving, surveying and building are all being done simultaneously.
You think about people who had left school, gone straight into the Depression, then, in the case of men, fought a war. When they came back, they were earning very, very little money. They had no chance. The government's state-sponsored housing scheme gave these people, young married couples, somewhere to live.
It was a huge undertaking. During the 1930s and 40s, state housing estates popped up all over the country. While they grew like topsy, these houses were well planned and thought out. They were all architect designed, built of the best materials that would ensure long life and low maintenance. To make sure they weren't building ghettos, the estates were scattered through some of the best suburbs.
They didn't want poor people who didn't formally have access to reasonable housing all to be lumped into one particular area of a city. They said they wanted a mixture of social classes. They also said the people who were going to live in state houses were going to be able to live in places with beautiful views. And you think of this Auckland suburb of Oraki, where today the greatest views in Auckland can be had from what is still, or was then, a state housing area.
And if you thought state houses were all the same form and shape, well, you're wrong. Palmerston North Savage Crescent, set up as a showpiece of Labour government policy in the late 1930s, illustrates the many faces of the State House.
Nowadays people tend to look back and think of the state houses as all being the same. But if you look carefully, that's by no means true. And you can see that very clearly from the variety of different houses in Savage Crescent.
Savage Crescent was to be the pride of the government's housing policy. This was regarded as your typical New Zealand family, the little woman in her place, living the life the social planners had mapped out. Today, Savage Crescent remains largely unchanged. The trees, like the original families, have grown, but what remains is a sense of something special, a feeling that the builders and planners were trying to create a community, an area where the houses were not all the same, where each had its own identity. Each house was divided from the neighbours. They were not built in a straight line, and there had to be 10 different styles of house built before the first could be repeated. All this gives Savage Crescent a place in our architectural history.
The Savage Crescent scheme is designed to preserve the original Department of Housing Construction concepts, and it's very good for New Zealand's architectural history to have something like that preserved. It means we will never forget what happened in 1936-37.
nor will the original tenants of Savage Crescent, some of whom are still living in the area. This was the typical house for the typical family, a home that was beyond the dreams until the State House was created.
It gave the working class, people a real opportunity to have homes that they could be proud of, homes that they found that were very able and suitable for bringing up a family. It was very well designed. The government of the day that gave it, went into this in the first place. They really designed and made it possible for people to live in a community where they felt that they were wanted and they were part and parcel of the community.
Was it a good house to bring up 3 children in? Did it work?
Yes, it worked quite well, actually. We more or less lived in the kitchen area, really, because that was the thing in those days. The lounge was kept as a extra special place for entertaining. Not that we had much time to entertain when the children were young, but then as they got older, the lounge became more of a family room. And of course, this being a big lounge, they could spread around.
Room for the family was a key ingredient of the State House, along with an exacting standard of construction.
All the materials were to be New Zealand made. So that's why there is beautiful Rimu joinery, matai floors. It's well known that state houses are superbly constructed of very durable materials, and that's why it was government policy that should be so.
Conceived as houses good enough for a government minister and his family, this house did produce a Minister of the Crown. Well, there must be a few memories in this room for you, Trevor.
Well, this used to be, Susan, the sitting room. And you only used it on Sundays. We used to call it the sitting room. We call it the lounge, swatty names now. The fireplace around is the same, except that it was an open fire. The gas wasn't here those days. Pop used to bring back a sugar bag of wood on the handlebars of his bike at night if he was carpentering, and we'd light the fire, but you couldn't get near it because Mum would have the clothes horse with all the underwear on it, airing it. And this here was a dining room, but we didn't use it as a dining room. There used to be a pair of French doors on it, and my eldest sister had that as a bedroom to herself because I had 2 sisters. They each had a bedroom, and my 2 brothers shared a room, and my brother and I at least shared a room up there. But this was where we watched. We went to bed about 9:30 every night. It was the day of the power cuts. 9 o'clock used to have for sound, restful sleep, drink Horlicks. Now we'll have the door with 7 locks. I used to go out and scrape my fingernails around the window to scare my sisters, and they go, woo.
Now, kitchen through here?
Yes, the kitchen was through here.
And this is where you learned to waltz, is that right?
Yes, it was.
Can you remember how?
Yes, well, my mum and dad were great waltzers. They were the days when people danced with each other, not at each other. And I was taught to waltz in this kitchen, round and round and round. And then we'd go to the old-time dances. This wasn't that was a wall there those days, and they didn't have the gas stove. Mum had an electric stove. Bought herself the first automatic stove, and I can remember. She couldn't use it, but Pop did. When she went out to work, old Pop would hide all the vegetables under here he'd done the night before, put them in the automatic stove, switch it on, go to the pub, have a few beers, and come home. The house was immaculate, the meal cooked, everything was right.
While not too much has changed where Trevor DeClean grew up, Savage Crescent is proving popular for redevelopment. While the streetscape's being maintained, inside the small rooms are being opened up and modernised. The old State House has a future in the 90s.
To me, it feels like it's a 90s home. It works like a 90s home. It's, if you like, we've custom arranged it for our lifestyle, which was very different to the configuration that it used to be. So yeah, it works great.
With keeping the charm of the original?
Yeah, definitely, yep.
Yeah, we thought we could have the best of both worlds, really. You know, we actually sort of take a walk in time when you walk in the front door. You walk from the 40s, which is the streetscape, into what we consider to be the 90s inside, you know, and Joseph Savage, you know, built Savage Crescent with that sort of idea in mind, you know, for houses that would sort of suit people long past, you know, into the sort of future. And we felt that we've sort of done that so that people are able to retain what they have outside and make inside, you know, up to date.
I think the State House was, for enormous numbers of people, a godsend, an answer to their prayers. They were given a chance. They could, many of them severely disadvantaged people, had a chance to live a reasonable life. I think they were enormously significant.
More than 20,000 state houses had been built by the end of World War II. Coming up, Open Plan, the New Zealand response to an international trend.
On Tuesday, she started life as a crazy puppy.
How can you give her up is what most people ask.
But Chloe has a serious future ahead.
She tended to be a little bit stubborn.
To be trained as a guide dog.
We lost our concentration, huh?
But will she make it?
She has shown a capacity to be able to dominate other dogs.
To become a friend for life.
And I hope we'll be great pals.
Rescreening by popular demand. Chloe, A Guide to Life. The Tuesday documentary, 8:35 on 1.
2, 3. Sugar and spice, curry and rice, Barney and Fred, breakfast in bed, knife and a fork, boo-ha and pork, super lucky dip and 3. Line to strike.
Phil. That line, it's not your best work.
Barks like a dog, Phil.
We've made it a lot easier to give Lotto as a gift this Christmas. Just ask for a double dip and we'll supply the card free. Double dip, the perfect Christmas gift from Lotto.
Lotto double dip, double dip, double dip.
Double dip.
I like it.
Yeah. That'll be the casserole.
New chef casserole. Chicken and turkey, beef and kidney, meaty chunks and a rich home-style gravy. It's just like you'd make at home.
It may seem like it takes ages to pay off a mortgage. But right now at ANZ, we are offering 1 month interest-free on all new Yes mortgages. And that means you'll shorten the length of your mortgage and pay it off sooner. That's absolutely no interest for the first month. All because we want you to say yes to the home you want.
Why is the Queen gaining such a loyal following? Because no other Chardonnay offers so much for so little. Queen Adelaide. Unquestionable quality, unbeatable value.
Here's a tremendous buy from Super Value. Frozen pork leg roast for just $5.99 a kilo. Now, that's a tremendous buy. And they cook up beautifully. Lots of great Christmas bargains too, like Cadbury Roses chocolates for just $7.99. So that's tasty pork leg roasts and the perfect gift for someone special, a box of Cadbury Roses from Super Value.
Super Value, we've got the lot.
Open plan is an integral part of our contemporary Kiwi lifestyle. But in the early 50s, large windows and a kitchen as part of your living area were considered very avant-garde. The seeds of open planning were sown even before then by Vernon Brown, an energetic architect at the Auckland School of Architecture. His quiet domestic revolution changed how we live right up to the present.
In the 40s, brick and tiles had become the popular way to live. Architect Vernon Brown regarded these English-style homes as over-sweet cake. What he wanted was wholemeal bread. In 1944, he created something of a stir with this home. It was regarded as thoroughly outlandish. Outside, it looked a bit like a shed, but inside there were hints of what was to come.
His clients there were Frank and Honey Haig. Frank Haig was a well-known Auckland lawyer, and Honey Haig was his wife, a woman of very definite opinions. But as she told me herself many times, she met her match in Vernon. He was quite determined to give Frank and Honey Haig a particular type of house. And they lived in a beautiful section with lovely bush around it, and he wanted to bring the outside
factory. It was years ahead of its time.
When you see houses that were built in the 50s now, they look awfully dated, but this one didn't. You know, it looked like it had been built fairly recently.
Is there anything you'd like to change about it to, you know, make it more 90s than 50s?
No, not really.
Yes, I don't think you could change it very much without spoiling it. I would like automatic cleaning windows.
You have got quite a lot to do, haven't you?
There are quite a lot of windows.
Another group architect, Bruce Rotherham, designed this. A huge glass wall brought the steep garden outside right into the lounge. A totally open house was built around a central brick core. A circular staircase rose through that core to a mezzanine above. Once upstairs, the mezzanine bedroom was every bit as open. The present owner bought the house more than 30 years ago. She loved it then and still does today.
I came from Owakuni to Auckland, so it was kind of mind-blowing. I had never seen a house like it before. I loved it because of its openness. The elements occur all round you at seating level. You don't have to get up and go out to it. And particularly the glass wall, which in the rain is like a waterfall. It's like a screen of water, which is very attractive and it's very pleasant.
The group architects designed for how they thought people should live. They realised Aucklanders were comfortable in a social atmosphere and enjoyed an easy living climate.
They used techniques of keeping the sun out and keeping the houses warm, a lot of basic mass technology in terms of passive heating and so on. And also they became very involved in that business of letting the house and the nature of the house develop.
Architecturally, what were the inspirations for Open Plan?
I think the notion of the freedom of the woman in society and the business of them being part of the conversational group instead of cut off.
So the kitchen becoming part of the house.
And that's important because in the end, the kitchen and the eating area are the major areas of family interaction. You know, people talk and eat, and the husband or father comes home and they stand round the kitchen, and they've always done it. They've just now accepted that that's what they did.
Marshall Cook's own award-winning home, built 10 years ago, may just be the ultimate open plan.
Well, in some ways, there's no barrier between inside and outside. This attempt to weave some seamless link between the outside and the inside. You've still got to keep out the climatic elements in Auckland, which is a lot of wind. So consequently, this house is designed so it can be opened either to the, if there's a westerly, it can be open to the east. If there's an easterly or northeasterly, it can be open to the west. So consequently, you can live on one side of the house or the other. And when you open the whole house up, it is really just like a large tent, this part of it anyhow. At the same time, certain areas require a lot more enclosure for winter. So, again, you just shut, everything just shuts off at the winter time. So the big open spaces become independent of the smaller, more intimate spaces.
So, has Open Plan been successful for New Zealanders?
I think that New Zealand has socialised very comfortably. And as I say, any country that had gone through the business of turning into a modern society without the whole baggage of the class system with it really can adapt very quickly to almost any conditions. And I also think this business of how we relax is now related to the house.
Today, no architect or builder would dream of separating our lives into separate compartments. This brand new Fletcher home is the latest product of the thinking that started 50 years ago. And this new townhouse, designed by Pip Cheshire, has simple, clearly defined spaces with an ease of access to the garden beyond.
The revolution that these people began has been entirely achieved. What they set out to do is to create expectations about life in houses, and we just accept them these days. We all like the idea of bringing the outside in. We all appreciate an effective and pleasant flow of space from one room to another. We all, if we live in families with children, but want vaguely to know what the children are doing. Houses are open, more democratically conceived, and it's the work of Vernon Brown and the group architects we have to thank for that.
Next, looking towards the future, a very contemporary home in Cromwell.
It's Christmas 1959, a special time for Lou.
Merry Christmas!
A difficult time for everyone else.
And a Merry Christmas to us all.
An aunt returns from London, and it seems that nothing will ever be the same again.
Things will have to change.
Two sisters compete for a treasured prize.
Leave us alone!
But their sibling rivalry threatens the future of an entire family. A touch of nostalgia New Zealand style in Christmas for Lou, 9:35 Tuesday on 1.
If you make a call from your cellular phone on the Telecom mobile network and we unexpectedly lose your signal, we'll give you a credit. Because our commitment to service means if you ever lose a cellular call within our network's coverage area, simply dial 5*1 and the full number you lost straight away. We'll give you a 1-minute credit on the recommenced call.
That'll be the casserole.
New chef casserole, chicken and turkey, beef and kidney, meaty chunks and a rich home-style gravy. It's just like you'd make it home.
The gifts on special at Noel Leeming this week are so tempting, you won't be able to wait for Christmas. Save $50 on this Moulinex powerful hand blender, now $99.95. Save $100 on this powerful 1200-watt Husqvarna vacuum cleaner, now $529.95. This rechargeable Remington shaver, half price, now only $129.95. Wrap up your Christmas shopping now with these and heaps of other super savers in store.
At the best price, Noel Leeming.
Guaranteed.
There's something new on all Tegel fresh chicken. It's a freshness seal. Not only does it say you're buying genuine Tegel, but it guarantees you the freshest chicken possible. Trouble is, now everyone else can tell what's worth going for and what's not. If it hasn't got the seal, it's not Tegel guaranteed fresh chicken.
Why is the Queen requested at so many occasions? because classic traditional taste is always welcome. Queen Adelaide, unquestionable quality, unbeatable value.
Taste goes on, the taste goes on. We all keep marching off toward our prime. Without a break, you know we won't get by. The taste goes on and on and on and on.
Next, the mentality which drives Bosnian Serbs to continue a war defying all logic.
Serbs don't care that they've become the most reviled people in Europe.
Next on One.
During the building boom years of the 80s, architects, builders and their clients indulged in a wide array of styles, and an extraordinary range of international ideas was explored. New Zealanders' passion for their homes continues to produce difference and diversity.
As we've seen, many New Zealanders invest huge amounts in their homes. Not just money, but care and thought and emotion. And some of us very firmly put down roots. Kevin Jackson put down roots here. His lovely English-styled home would have suited him fine for the rest of his life. But after being here 20 years, the Clyde Dam and Lake Dunstan sank that dream. Kevin bought a new property, which also has a long history, with a 19th century stone villa and a 20th century bungalow. But having had to make such a drastic wrench, Kevin didn't want to return to those symbols of the past. He wanted a house for the 21st century.
It had to be white, modern, solid, something that would stand the test of time.
Queenstown architect Michael Wyatt won the job of translating Kevin's new dream into reality.
What I did was design him a house that is something, obviously, that is there to live in, but in addition to that is a piece of sculpture in its own right. And by treating it as a sort of object in the landscape in pure white and concentrating on the shapes and forms, I guess I'm hoping that in the future it will work as a piece of sculpture just as well as it has done in the past. And that's the approach, really. I guess it's just such a pure colour. And in terms of what it does to the look of a house, if it's used on the roof and the walls, it really does make the shape of the house paramount in importance. It just makes it look as if it's carved out of one block of cheese, as it were. I guess it's certainly helped by the fact that it's in a site where it's in splendid isolation. If you were to put this in a suburban setting right up against boundary fences, it would lose a lot. I mean, that's one reason why the sculptural approach works, I suppose, that you can sweep around this big drive and come in at it and see it from quite some distance. It wouldn't work nearly so well jammed quite into a tight little site.
Well, you walk straight into the view, don't you? It's wonderful. Did you have that in mind when you designed it?
Well, that was the one reason why we chose to have the main entrance at the rear of the house, so that when we did walk into the house, we immediately had the view.
Right, all round. And the windows are very high too, so you get all the hills.
That's correct, yes. We took them up as high as we could.
Right. Now, I'd have to say, this isn't like any farmhouse I've ever been into. It's pretty classy, isn't it?
Well, I live and work in the country, and it's quite nice at the end of the day to come home to a little bit of chrome and glitter.
Sure is. What's this timber?
Blonded macrocarpa.
Right. The blonding takes it into the contemporary feel of the rest of the house, doesn't it? Whereas natural timber might be a bit folksy. Now, this has got to be something unusual. What is this floor?
Stainless steel.
Yeah? How'd you come by that?
Well, this room was designed as a rumpus room. I have a 3/4 size slate table, which was to go in here. And, of course, after the floor went down, I have friends that rock and roll, and, of course, I haven't been allowed to put the table in. So, yes.
It's a great floor to dance on.
Well, it's very good in this respect that it doesn't matter what surface you have on your shoe, it slides
right
regardless.
And with the pool right out there through the French doors, I guess this is basically a recreational and entertaining room.
Yes.
And this is your dining room, Kevin?
Yes.
Now, how come you need 2 tables?
Well, if there's just 2 of you dining, the small table is adequate. And if there's more, the small table's handy to put things on.
Sure, yeah. Now, this is quite a distinctive table, and chairs for that matter. Did you get them designed?
Yes, all the furniture in the house was built for the house. Michael Wyatt was quite unique. I can remember saying to him I could imagine seats similar to, say, to a 44-gallon drum, cut it in half, put a seat in the middle, put 5 legs on. That's what he came up with.
That's a farmer's chair.
Yeah.
Now, this is a servery here, so this must be the kitchen through here.
Yes.
Wow, this is pretty neat, isn't it? In fact, you'd have to call this an austere sort of a kitchen.
Well, 2 men designed this kitchen.
Really?
Yes.
You and Michael?
Yes.
Right. It's very coordinated with the tiles, isn't it?
Well, I did have tiles on the bench top in my last house, and that was satisfactory for me. And the difference, of course, we've matched the tile from the floor.
Well, this is unusual. Halogen, how does that work?
These are quite good. These are in place of gas. Instant heat, instant off.
Oh, quite a party trick, eh?
We call this the conservatory. This was originally going to have a glass roof, and it's one change we made because of the central Otago heat. We felt that it would create too much warmth for the house.
Roast in here, wouldn't you?
Yes.
But this area out here must be lovely for breakfast and even lunch, because the sun's still on it now, and
yes.
late afternoon. So
yes.
I guess in the evening, when the sun's right off, it'd even be better.
Oh, definitely, yes.
So this is pretty much your informal living area?
Yes.
The bedroom wing, like the rest of the house, has no wallpaper, and each room has an individualised paint finish, some softer, some a little metallic. Appropriately for a central Otago orchard, the guest room is a vibrant apricot. But if guests tire of that, there's always the view from the spa. And this is your main bedroom, Kevin.
Yes.
You've got a totally self-contained setup up here. You've got your ensuite, your dressing room. It's all up here in private, isn't it?
Yes, and of course you can sleep at night with the doors open.
And it'd be great sitting out here in the evening for a drink.
It's very private.
Surveying your domain. Kevin's view includes the new lake that drowned his old home. When he left, he took only a few wildflower seeds and a dream for another century.
I would hope that the house is still here and that the town has built around the orchard. I think that the house will stand the test of time.
Timeless? Well, only time will tell. But Kevin's house could stand proudly anywhere in the world. New Zealand's architecture has become truly international. But what do our architects offer the rest of the world?
I think they probably offer a fresh approach in that their minds are uncluttered by tradition and past in architecture, so they perhaps start with a cleaner sheet of paper. They're able to gather ideas from absolutely everywhere and then put them together in their own unique way.
Well, that about sums it up.
That's it for this year. Thanks to all the proud homeowners who welcomed us in during this series.
We'll be back with more of your housing passions next year.
Have a restful and safe holiday season. Good night.